Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a story of sheer evolutionary impossibility. I mean, honestly, when you look at human beings from a strictly biological standpoint, our survival, it simply doesn't make sense. We're going to explore the fascinating evidence behind exactly how our ancestors managed to survive against the deadliest predators on the planet, transforming from literally the weakest ape into the most dominant species in Earth's history. Let's get right into it.
Picture this. You're standing face to face with a saber-toothed cat right in the middle of the Pleistocene era. The stakes here are terrifyingly high. This thing is twice your size and it is perfectly built to kill. And you? Well, you've got no claws, no fangs, zero venom, and absolutely no armor. By every single biological measure, you should be dead in seconds. It's the ultimate David versus Goliath underdog story. So the big question we have to answer today is, how on earth are you still here?
Okay, let's dive right into this stark comparison. On the predator side, you have these biological machines precision-engineered by evolution to hunt. We're talking massive claws, lethal fangs, venom, night vision, explosive speed, the whole shebang. And then there's us, ancient humans. We had these flat little teeth that were completely useless for defense. We had incredibly slow climbing speeds, so scrambling up a tree wasn't always going to save you. And honestly, our biggest vulnerability, loudly screaming babies. They basically functioned as dinner bells. It was a wildly severe physical disadvantage.
And the threats out there? Absolute nightmares. I'm talking massive cave lions, gigantic short-faced bears, packs of dire wolves, and of course, those iconic saber-toothed cats. For millions of years, humans were strictly on the menu. We definitely weren't the brave, spear-wielding conquerors we usually like to imagine. We were just prey, relentlessly hunted by animals that could see better in the dark, run way faster, and bite so much harder than we ever could.
To really ground this underdog story in archaeological reality, take a look at the findings from Swartkrans Cave in South Africa. Research by Brain back in 1981 gave us some chilling physical evidence that early hominins were actively hunted. Specifically, the fossils prove our ancestors were leopard prey. The bite marks on early human skulls hit the nail right on the head. They match perfectly with the fangs of a leopard dragging its kill up into a tree. We were the hunted, hiding in the shadows, just hoping to survive the night. So how exactly did we flip the script? Well, that brings us to our first major turning point, biological cheat codes.
Section 1. Fire and the Safety Circle. Prey to planners.
1 million. That number represents the sheer, staggering scale of our history with fire. According to a 2012 study by Berna and colleagues, Wonderwork Cave holds microstratigraphic evidence of in situ fire from exactly that long ago, 1 million years. Think about that. It means for 1 million years, our ancestors weren't just running away from predators, they were actually harnessing a fundamental force of nature to hold them back. Now, think about the concept of the safety circle. Because before fire, the night belonged entirely to the monsters. Literally. For 2 million years, darkness meant death. But mastering fire pushed that darkness back. It created a 30-foot ring of light and heat where predators absolutely would not dare to tread. And inside that circle, a profound transformation happened. We stopped trembling in the dark as prey, and we started becoming planners.
That ring of safety gave us something invaluable, and that was time. Since we didn't have to spend every waking second of the night hiding in sheer terror, fire gave us thousands of extra hours. Hours to think, to communicate, to share information, to socialize. This newfound safety kicked off massive cognitive leaps. It fundamentally changed us from fearful, reactive prey into calculating, cooperative survivors. But, defense alone doesn't make you the dominant species on Earth. So let's shift from defense to offense and look at our most surprising physical advantage.
Section 2. The Persistence Cheat Code, Hunting by Exhaustion.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we started fighting back, without ever needing to be faster than our prey. This is persistence hunting, heavily documented in modern sand hunter-gatherers by researcher Liebenberg in 2006. The steps are pretty simple, but man, they are brutal. First, track the prey. Second, chase it right during the peak heat of the day. Third, exhaust the animal until it literally collapses from heat stroke. And finally, capture it. We couldn't outsprint a gazelle, not even close, but we could walk and jog after it until it simply couldn't take another step.
This was our biological cheat code. We outran animals built for speed through sheer, relentless endurance. See, while predators had thick fur and cooled down by panting, which, by the way, they can't do while they're running, humans are relatively hairless and covered in sweat glands. We are literally the ultimate cooling engines. Our total lack of sprinting speed forced us to adapt for stamina instead. We took our apparent physical weakness and turned it into a lethal, inescapable hunting strategy. We just refused to stop. But as incredibly effective as our endurance was, it wasn't our ultimate trump card. Which brings us to our next critical section, proving our greatest advantage wasn't strictly physical at all.
Section 3. The weapon of cooperation. Empathy as a weapon.
Let's pause for a second and consider this deeply compelling question. If survival was simply about the survival of the fittest, the fastest, the strongest, how did a toothless elder survive for years in a brutal, prehistoric wild? Think about it. In a world where you had to chew tough roots and raw meat, losing your teeth should have been an instant death sentence. Yet, the archaeological record shows us something entirely different.
The evidence of empathy in ancient times is staggering. Take the Dramanacy skull, for example, a fascinating find detailed in a 2005 Nature study by Lord Kipanidze. This skull belonged to an early hominin who lost all their teeth, but somehow continued to live for years afterward. Then, there's the disabled Neanderthal from Shenadar Cave, documented by Trinkus and Vilat in 2017. This individual survived profound hearing loss, multiple disabling injuries, and even an amputated arm for over a decade. These individuals could not hunt. They could not fight. They couldn't even chew their own food. The only way they survived is because other members of their group cared for them, chewed their food for them, and protected them.
So here's the absolutely crucial point. Empathy and social cooperation were our true evolutionary weapons. Caring for the elderly and disabled wasn't just some random act of kindness. It was a profound survival strategy. By keeping elders alive, ancient humans preserved vital generational knowledge. An elder might be physically weak, sure, but they remembered exactly where the water was during a drought 50 years ago. This preserved intelligence gave the whole tribe a massive cognitive edge over solitary, instinct-driven predators. And this social intelligence, fueled by the safety of fire, inevitably led to the next major leap in our story. This is where our cognitive superiority finally manifests into physical tools to completely level the playing field.
Section 4. The technological edge. Leveling the field.
400,000. Back in 1997, a researcher named Thiem published a groundbreaking study in Nature detailing the discovery of the Schöningen spears over in Germany. These are perfectly balanced, lethal wooden hunting spears, and they are 400,000 years old. This timeline is absolutely critical, guys. It shows us exactly when we stopped just surviving and actually started fighting back from a distance. We didn't need our own fangs anymore. We'd figured out how to carve them out of wood. The overarching theme of our entire evolutionary journey is captured right here. Being physically inferior is exactly what forced us to become cognitively superior. Because we didn't have massive claws, because we were slow, because our teeth were flat, we were pushed to the absolute brink. Our lack of natural weaponry is the exact reason we had to invent the spear. Our weakness was the catalyst for our unparalleled intelligence. And that brings us to the dramatic climax of this explainer, the ultimate reversal of fortunes.
Section 5. The Predator Collapse. A Reversal of Fortune.
Let's just watch how this builds across the timeline. 2 million years ago, we were terrified prey, hunted in the shadows of Africa. 1 million years ago, we mastered fire, pushing back that darkness and building up our cognitive skills. But then, we hit the late Pleistocene. As we migrate out of Africa armed with spears, fire, incredible endurance, and unbreakable social bonds, something incredible happens. A 2004 study in Science by Barnowski tracks this really clearly. Human migration directly correlates with massive megafauna extinction. Everywhere we went across the continents, the giant, terrifying apex predators that once hunted us suddenly began disappearing from the fossil record.
The cave lions, the short-faced bears, the dire wolves, the saber-toothed cats. Every single one of those built to kill apex predators is now completely extinct, and we're not. The weakest, slowest, least physically equipped ape on the planet outthought, out-endured, and outlasted the most terrifying monsters the world has ever seen. Which leaves us with this final crazy thought. Today, we sit in perfectly climate-controlled rooms, sitting at the very top of the food chain, entirely safe. But why do we still feel that deep, primal sense of comfort when staring into a crackling fire? And why, when you walk into a pitch-black room, does your heart beat just a little bit faster? Even though the saber-toothed cats are gone forever,
Is the fear of the dark still written right there in your DNA? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.